Hello all, this is James Johnson, aka Sulfurblade, and I am here to talk about the train wreck that is Captain Marvel. Yet another box office release playing identity politics from Disney. Same people who now own Lucasfilms, who tossed all kinds of identity politics at us with The Last Jedi, is now doing some major identity politics with Captain Marvel. Unless you've been stuck under a rock lately, Brie Larson has made herself look like an ass, for lack of better words, on the news, basically calling out white men as not being her target audience, and she doesn't give a rat's ass about white men. So we have the star of Captain Marvel going on the record as being a feminist. So Captain Marvel is solidly in the feminist agenda. It seems every day things get worse and worse and worse for feminism and identity politics. Every time I turn around, it's being slapped in my face. Where is it not being slapped in my face? Star Trek Discovery, slapping it in my face. Everywhere I turn these days, identity politics is ruining my experience, my entertainment experience. Doctor Who, just to name a couple. Well, now Rotten Tomatoes is the latest in corporate shills. Rotten Tomatoes has decided to band up with the corporate bandwagon, and they are no longer showing a rating that basically described if you wanted to see the movie. And an overwhelming majority of people were basically downvoting Captain Marvel and saying, no, I'd rather eat paint than go watch that movie. And so now, Rotten Tomatoes has decided that it's no longer going to show this statistic. Now, we don't know if Disney bought and paid for this courtesy or what, but we do know that it's basically Rotten Tomatoes selling out. And as a fan, I don't appreciate it. I don't think many are going to appreciate it. Why are we going to change the way Rotten Tomato works for a terrible movie that is just basically promoting the feminist identity politics train? So, has anyone ever heard of Letterboxd.com? Letterboxd.com is evidently something similar to Rotten Tomatoes. Go there, sign up for an account, and express your views on how and why and what you think about upcoming movies, current movies, whatnot, what else. I've never tried Letterboxd, but after finding out about what Rotten Tomatoes has done, I've decided that, well, you know what? It's time to find an alternative to Rotten Tomatoes. And there didn't seem to be a lot of good alternatives, but after doing a little bit of digging around, it seems like this Letterboxd might actually be a decent alternative. So I am recommending that if you're sick of Rotten Tomatoes, or you're sick of anybody supporting the feminist agenda, or you're sick of identity politics, or you're sick of people shilling out for huge corporations like Disney, then hey, what do we got to lose? I mean, let's give Letterboxd a try, and maybe, just maybe, Rotten Tomatoes will get the idea once their site is no longer the go-to site for movie critics to figure out if you want to see a movie. Why should we only have Rotten Tomatoes? Why should we go and utilize Rotten Tomatoes if they're going to treat us, the fans, in such a way? It's obvious that the fans have spoken out about Captain Marvel, and so now they're going to silence fans who are speaking up about Captain Marvel. Well, I think it's ludicrous, and I think it's time that we find an alternative to Rotten Tomatoes. So Letterboxd is my suggestion, though, there might be other better alternatives out there. If so, leave a comment down below. But basically, it's time to move. It's time to move off of Rotten Tomatoes, guys. Let's stand together firm as fans. Continue to stand together firm against the identity politics and the feminist agenda being thrown in our faces, like the Gillette commercial and Doctor Who and countless other travesties, The Last Jedi, just a couple to name off the top of our heads, and coming down the pike, Captain Marvel. Don't watch it. Don't see it. Stand together. There's nothing wrong with masculinity. Masculinity is it's something that's needed in society, and sadly, in a society where most kids are being raised by single women, and not because men are deadbeats, but because the legal system is stacked against men, and women are, well, quick to bail out of relationships, that most kids these days are being raised by single women. Most marriages end in divorce. This is a sad fact. And so masculinity is something that's dying. And it's something that's dying because fathers aren't around to set the role model that needs to be done for their sons. Little boys are being raised by women, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with female parents, but a female parent cannot adequately substitute for a proper male role model. It's definitely easier for a female parent to raise a female child solo because, the daughter doesn't need the father's role model as much as the son might. And so when we're talking about masculinity, we're talking about something that's not bad. Masculinity is a good thing. Masculinity is chivalry. Chivalry goes back years and years, and it's a good thing. It's men opening doors. It's men protecting their partners. It's men who are doing the right thing. It's men making hard decisions. It's men worrying about responsibility. All of these things fall under masculinity, not just aggressive tendencies, not just fighting, not just roughhousing. The masculine nature is a very big and it's an important part of the masculine paradigm. And to try to treat it as something that's wrong in society is, well, it's straight wrong. There's a cancer in our society that stems from, well, laws. this is a huge topic, and I'm actually here not to get into that. Let's avoid the feminist rabbit hole here, and let's just stick to the topic of Rotten Tomatoes has screwed the fans. Letterboxd is a decent alternative, maybe? Let's give it a try. And Captain Marvel is continuing to make feminist identity politics waves in so much as getting Rotten Tomato to shut off one form of statistics on its behalf. And that's the point of this video. That is the point of me making it. It's time for fans to stand up. It's time for fans to stand shoulder to shoulder and say enough's enough. We're sick of this stupidity. We're sick of the identity politics. We're sick of fans being treated poorly. We're sick of big companies like Disney telling us what we should watch. We're sick of big companies like Gillette telling us how we should behave. Companies don't have a right to tell me how to behave. Big companies don't have a right to ruin my childhood heroes, to make Luke Skywalker look like an asshole, to make Han Solo look like an asshole, to take Star Wars, a beloved sci-fi experience, and turn it into a feminist message, to take Doctor Who, another role model for male masculinity, and cut the nuts off and turn it into another identity politics, feminism fiasco. Enough's enough. Enough is enough. You don't you don't need to go to these extremes. I don't understand. I mean, if you go back to Stargate Atlantis, remember Sam? She was a girl. She was in charge of Atlantis. Samantha Carter was awesome. I have the utmost respect for her character. Stargate Atlantis was great sci-fi. There was no feminist message trying to be shoved down my throat. There were strong male characters and strong female characters. The white man in the show wasn't made to look stupid. You can have good female characters and still have good male characters. You don't need to go to the extreme that you keep going to. I just don't understand. I don't understand why we keep making crappy movies in the guise of empowering women. There's been good female role models for a long time. Most of the female role models that are coming out these days aren't. They're not good female role models. If you think Rey in Star Wars is even half the role model that Luke Skywalker was, you are delusional. Luke actually went through training. Luke actually had to develop as a character. Luke actually had to fight against things that were holding him back. Rey just magically gets to be a Jedi Knight without even having to train. She's just magically good enough to beat a Sith Master because, hey, the head honcho at Lucasfilms is a feminist and wants to empower women and spread the message that the Force is female. Why? I don't understand. Aren't these companies out there to make money? Isn't making money good for LucasArts? LucasArts does know that their largest base of consumers, their largest fan base, are white males, but yet they keep trying to, I don't know, make a product that white males don't like? It doesn't make sense. None of this shit that happens these days makes any sense anymore. Gillette telling men how they should behave, a brand that sells razors and depends on men to buy their products, is pissing men off. Doesn't seem like good business sense. But hey, that's the world we live in. And again, I've gone down the rabbit hole and I've gotten completely off course here. Back to the message. Rotten Tomatoes has screwed the fans. Captain Marvel is continuing to make waves, and Letterboxd is a good possible alternative. And with that being said, I am James Johnson. This is my channel, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, leave a like, subscribe, and until next time, peace.